I'm Daniel Davis and I work at Patience and Nicholson. I'm a machine setter. When I was at school, I probably had other things on my mind other than schoolwork. Footy, definitely got into my football when I was younger. Girls. I was more of a hands-on person rather than sitting in the classroom and listening to someone talk and then not having what they were talking about there in front of you to actually see. I lost interest in it quite quickly. 18 months ago, I was at the point where I had to do something. I couldn't really go on like I was forever. I didn't actually have any qualifications to be running the machines, and I struggled to pick things up. I could say young and dumb, sort of.
One of the things in manufacturing within New Zealand is there's a fairly low skill base. I think there's a lot of people in the manufacturing sector with no formal education.
You'd be surprised at what some people don't know, mate. You really would. You know, I've seen people use tools like micrometers and that, and they've been sitting there using them for 4 years. And it comes time to them writing down what the actual answer is. Oh no, I just winged it the whole time. Don't tell the bosses anyway.
I see it quite often in many workforces where there's a huge stigma attached to a lack of literacy.
I can write, but it's not easy, you know, for me to put a proper sentence together and make it sound right, you know what I mean?
We got involved with the Learning Reps program through the EPMU and the CTU. The theory behind the Learning Reps program is that you have people in the workforce who encourage other employees to take up training, whether it be around improving their skills or around literacy or around other forms of learning in the business, enable them to become more multi-skilled.
It's worker-driven training, development and education. Get people learning, because that's the first thing. Get them learning, get them keen on learning. Then you can work on literacy, then you can work on numeracy. You can develop those things later, but the first thing is to actually get people keen on learning. When it started out, the Learning Reps got sat down on a committee and they actually talked and developed unit standard.
Yeah, we've designed the whole package, haven't we? They put all the unit standards together, because there was no unit standards when we first made it.
Most factories, I suppose, would only have 1 or 2 people, you know, doing the training regime, whereas we've got 1 or 2 people in every department now. That makes it a lot easier to identify where the training's needed. Those dumb questions that don't get asked do get asked, you know, because you don't mind your mate, you know, giving you a bit of grief about it.
Can I get you to explain the pointing to me?
Yep. So what we do here, mate, is we get the cutting edge lined up to that vertical gear line there.
But easier to communicate with, like, your workmate, because you sort of understand what he's talking about, because he knows the job as well. So it's a lot easier to learn off a buddy than someone in a suit.
So what calibration do you use here, Dan?
I'll try 1.0. I didn't approach them for the qualifications. They sort of must have seen that I was willing to learn and really interested in what was going on. So that's when they sort of said, Dan, you know, we'll get you to step up and start actually learning things that are going to benefit you with the certificate or better for your CV or just anything like that. Set this up first and I'll check my chisel angle.
Once they're on that learning pathway, they jump on it wholeheartedly and they go and get other things as well, because they sort of say, hey, I can do this, and off they go.
Something just switched in my brain. I was like, right, this is it, you know, I'm going to take full advantage of it and sort of learn things the best I can and do the best job I can, really.
Doing a lot of practical one-on-one training with Dan. I find him a very logical thinker. He's very calm. He's really good to work with, and I think he passes on information quite well to the other guys.
John, he actually has a good understanding of what we are doing here at Patience and Nicholson, so he can relate the training to our machines.
You need the pen for the
Yeah, I might need the pen. What I'm learning here, I'm actually using every day. Seeing a piece of bent steel turned into a drill I really like that, and then I just really wanted to learn how to do it and how to do it really well.
What Learning Reps has done is it's enabled people to get back into that whole educational system at work in a place they feel really comfortable, with people they feel comfortable with,
0.75 of a mil. Oh no, 0.5 of a mil to 0.075. The learning rep's been important for me because I've been able to learn off him pretty much 8 hours a day. He's always here. Tricky to see. You don't have a deadline with John. He's sort of, you can learn at your own pace.
The key factor that stood out to me is the national unit standards and qualifications that people are gaining. And that's huge. That's really huge.
Yeah, we've had 100 staff here, probably 40 have gone through. Without the learning reps, I don't think any of them would have gone off to Polytech and done it themselves.
The improved levels of training and the improved engagement is something that's really starting to pay off. We measure our overall scrap rate, how many pieces we started with versus how many pieces we ended with. It's an absolute measure. And we used to run around 3.5% going back historically. It now runs somewhere between 1.5% and 2%. We measure the time from when we issue the job to the factory until it's into stock. And it was running at around 17, 18 days average, and now it's down to about 11.
Yeah, all the learning's just filtering down all through the section, and it's building a better workplace from one section to another with different sections doing it. We're moving in and working together a lot better.
I definitely think I do a better job now because I have a good understanding of the machines. I also have a good understanding of how the drill should look and how it should perform, really.
If Dan keeps going, we see that he'll be level 8, he'll be a senior setter. Above the level 8 is where they go into the management structure, whether team leaders or training officers, etc. like that. And hopefully through that, we want Daniel to be doing more training with all of our new staff as they come in as well. So it just keeps snowballing. If he keeps going the way he is, yep, it's all looking good for him.
Well done. Cool. There's a skills-based pay matrix that was actually designed by the learning reps largely, and we've seen at this plant a significant growth in wages through people moving up into higher skilled pay rates and into higher pay bands just through following the learning reps process. My pay's increased by at least $5 an hour, yeah, which is pretty good within a year. A lot of other places you might not get that in 4 years, so to speak,
It's a bit of a dilemma for the business because we do end up paying more, but I think it's fair reward for the contribution that people make. If you have somebody who's trained in an operation or can do a number of operations, they can add real value to the business. I actually did the program myself. I thought it was really good.
New Zealanders aren't going to be able to compete with mass-produced low-skilled jobs. They're not going to compete with other countries such as China and things in that respect. But where we can be really competitive is with innovation, with skills and with technology. And the only way to do that is to have the workforce as a whole upskilling constantly.
I've never really used a computer much, but now I do all the training plans and that on the computers. Yeah, it's definitely helped me, I think.
I see people are happier and they come to work, and I know for sure that people that are happier are going to enjoy the work better and communicate better with each other.
What's good for our employees is good for the business, and if it's good for the business in the long term, it's good for the people that work for us.
Through the Learning Reps project, the relationship between the union and the employer has changed a lot. The employer's a lot more receptive to union views, and likewise we have a better understanding of how the employer operates and where they're at.
You've got unions, you've got employees, and you've got employers working together on a system that is trying to generate a better future for the country.